and gentlemen, I had to make another video today because after today's BBC spews, I realised I'd forgotten one of the most important stories of the hour. We now officially have our first trans Minister of Parliament. I'll tell you what, this is what those men fought and died for on D-Day. When my grandparents, both of them, because obviously my family's native to the United Kingdom, when both of my granddads were sat on the boats for D-Day, I'm certain they were thinking to themselves, I'm fighting so my grandchildren can be communists. I'm fighting so one day we can usher in the world's first whopper with a chopper. I mean, all of our politicians are whoppers, so it's got nothing to do with your sexuality, has it? But the most bizarre thing about this story is that peculiar propensity we have nowadays to allow the worst people imaginable, criminals, addicts, thieves, liars, cheats, as soon as they can tick a box on the woke intersectionality pyramid, all of their misdeeds are forgotten and they are lauded as heroes. Jamie Wallis, MP, is not a nice person. And I don't think changing your sex or spitting sailors' cocks out before you give a speech somehow makes you moral. Call me a bluff old traditionalist. I'm a liberal person, an actual liberal, i.e. a product of the 1980s, and I don't think your sexuality, your gender, your colour, your creed, your religion says anything about your personal character. You can be a good person. Crazy to say, I know, crazy in these crazy, crazy times to say such a thing, but guess what? You can be a splendid, giving, kind-hearted, gentle, black, disabled lesbian with a hair lip. You can also be a bigoted, intolerant, hateful, spiteful, thieving, lying, black, disabled, wheelchair-bound lesbian. Your immutable characteristics say nothing about your character. Nothing. Which makes this so baffling. Let's get into it, shall we? Here is Johnson and Starmer sickeningly paying fawning tribute to an individual who basically should be in prison. Yeah, let's not beat around the bush.
Mr. Speaker, the whole House will have read the statement today from my honourable friend, the member for Bridgend. And I know that the House stands with you and will give you the support that you need to live freely as yourself.
Can I start by joining the Prime Minister in his remarks in relation to the honourable member for Bridgend?
Yeah, right. I'll tell you what, the noise they all make contains more logic, reason and sound thinking than the speeches they give. The ramblings of a homeless drunk make more sense than the sentences they carefully craft, because they've just been unanimous in their praise for Big Jim. Let's see what Jim gets up to in his spare time, shall we? Sorry, spare time. Politicians have praised a Welsh MP for his bravery after he tweeted he has gender dysphoria and has... Okay, so we're not... Again, part of the problem, you don't know whether you're coming or going. I was worried about misgendering there. Fuck knows what's going on. Apparently, Big Jim isn't a woman yet. Who knows? So if the BBC's using his, I guess I can as well. The politicians have praised a Welsh MP for his bravery after he tweeted he has gender dysphoria. Jamie Wallis, who was elected in 2029, is the first MP to come out as trans. The Conservative MP said a man sent pictures to his family and demanded $50,000. He said he was raped in a separate incident. Quick question that nobody bothered to ask. What pictures? If he is a fine, upstanding gentleman, where did the pictures come from? Were the pictures faked? Or has Big Jim got nighttime proclivities that you and I might think are somewhat disgusting and possibly highly illegal? Nobody thought to ask that, did they? I wonder why. Also, oh look, he appears to have fled the scene of a car crash, also highly illegal, 2 months after he was raped. So Big Jim, who apparently has naughty pictures floating around because he's not a very nice person, and then fled the scene of a car crash because he's not a very nice person, is all of a sudden being praised and lauded and cheered to the rafters by all parties and all parliamentarians, despite the evidence suggesting Big Jim is dishonest, dishonourable, a liar, a criminal, someone who flees the scene of a car crash, which he may or may not have caused, and who has naughty pictures floating around, which were deemed twisted enough for him to be the victim of a blackmail attempt. Make up your own minds, ladies and gentlemen, based off the evidence presented, whether or not you think Jim is a splendid, honourable gentleman. And best of all, later down the story, it was reported that recently Mr Johnson began a dinner among Tory MPs by saying, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen," or as Keir Starmer would put it, people who were assigned female or male at birth, poking fun at Captain Hindsight's ridiculous, flip-flopping answer to a very simple question. And obviously the SNP Marxist revolutionary John Nicholson said the joke was in appallingly bad taste. So let me get this straight. Let's just sum up before I draw a line under this twisted story, this warping of reality. A portly, pill-popping politician flees the scene of a car crash, highly illegal, and is the victim of a blackmail attempt because he's doing doubtless illegal things in his spare time. And as a result of coming out on the pyramid, now the story is about the Prime Minister making a joke that 95% of the population finds perfectly acceptable and actually quite funny. Let that sink in. Speaking of sex pests, it reminds me of another one, this time a Hollywood sex pest, and his boss-eyed accuser, who, as we all remember, I'm sure, only came out as homosexual a week after a string of disturbing allegations had been made about him. If the point hasn't sank in yet, I'll make it in a sentence or two. Being part of the LGBTQ+I word soup should not mean you can abdicate your responsibilities to be a decent, honest, law-abiding citizen, and no amount of woke tomfoolery from the BBC and The Guardian and Silicon Valley and everybody else who thinks up and down is left and left is right can change that simple fact. These are appalling people. He is an appalling person, and as I keep saying, do not ever let any member of the elite, the so-called elite, ever talk down to you, ladies and gentlemen, because we are better people than them. We are more moral, more upstanding, more decent, more honest, and definitely less likely to have a criminal record than the collection of sweaty reprobates that lords it over us. This man is contemptible, and I don't care what his sexuality happens to be. By their deeds shall ye judge them, and I judge Big Jim to be an absolute twat. Thanks for watching, ladies and gents. I'll see you all tomorrow. Cheers.